Hello, are you ready for chapter 5 of Evie and the Animals by Matt Haig? I wonder what's going to happen when they find out that the rabbit is gone. This chapter is called How Evie Fell Out with Leonora. Evie was in Leonora's ginormous living room. Leonora had texted her mom, who had texted Leonora's dad, who had texted Evie's dad, who had texted back to say that it was okay. Evie hadn't wanted to spend the evening with Leonora, but Leonora made things happen, even if you didn't want them to. Evie had been friends with Leonora all through primary school, but now they were in their final year before high school, and it was becoming clear that they didn't have that much in common anymore. They'd been the best of friends in the whole world. They'd loved the same things and even had a special handshake and everything. But now they never did the handshake, and Leonora liked videos about makeup, and Evie liked videos about hippos and box jellyfish, and how to buy less plastic. But perhaps, Evie imagined, it was a good thing to have been Leonora's friend, because she spoke so fast and so often that it was quite hard to have any kinds of thoughts around her, even worried ones. And besides, Leonora had a new puppy. Puppies made everything better, and that was science. But Evie was still worried. No one had noticed that the rabbit was missing until afternoon break, and then Mrs. Baxter had called an emergency assembly, and the last hour of school that day had seen everybody in the school field searching. Evie kept wishing she hadn't said anything to Mrs. Baxter about the hutch, because surely that night Mrs. Baxter would realise, and then tomorrow she'd be called into the office, and her dad would be crosser than he'd ever been, and Evie tried to shake the worries out of her head as she sat in her spinny chair between the electric piano and the 75-inch television that Leonora's mom had. Her mom was upstairs doing yoga and her dad was out, and Leonora had told Evie to film her putting clothes on Bibi. Indeed, Bibi, the fluffy white terrier puppy, was currently being squeezed into a tiny ballet outfit. She was already in a black leotard, and next was the tutu. The puppy did not like this. Evie knew. Even though Bibi wasn't putting up much of a struggle, the small soft puppy thoughts were entering Evie's mind. I hate it, make it stop, I hate it. I don't think she likes this. Evie, shut up, we're filming. She looks funny. I just don't think she finds it funny. How do you know? Dogs can't laugh. She might be laughing inside for all you know. She's not laughing inside. She doesn't like it. And then Leonora grabbed the phone from her and the puppy ran away. What's the matter with you, Evie? Nothing. Well, you're not being very fun. In fact, you're being the exact opposite of fun. You are being a big world record bore. Mummy says I should have positive people in my life, and that's why she unfollowed 400 people on Instagram, and you are not very positive. In fact, you are unpositive. Then she screwed up her nose and said, I can't help it if you never knew your mum and all of that. Evie felt the tears building behind her eyes. It had been a very long day. What's my mum got to do with anything? I just think maybe we shouldn't be friends anymore. Fine. And then Leonora said Evie should call her dad to come over and pick her up. So she did. And Leonora said that the doorbell wasn't working properly at that moment, so maybe it was best if Evie waited outside on the bench at the front of their house. So Evie left the house and sat and waited for her dad to pick her up, feeling alone and friendless and worried that she was going to get caught for freeing Kalo the rabbit. 2 boys from the high school walked by, passing a football between them. Don't cry, Evie thought to herself. Don't cry. She looked to the sky and saw 3 distant birds flying high above. Maybe one was Beak. The thought of Beak having fun in the sky made her feel a little bit happier. Evie looked down to her side and saw a dog. The dog was the scruffiest looking thing Evie'd ever seen in her life. He was quite a tall dog, far taller than a Maltese Terrier and a bit taller than a Labrador, but with slightly longer, shaggy hair. It wasn't any breed that Evie recognised. It was probably a mix of about 300 breeds. The dog was dust brown with mucky off-white patches. It was scrawny and dirty and had bits of leaves and all other rubbish hanging off it. "I'm hurt," thought the dog. The easiest animals in the world to understand were dogs. Way easier than Beak, way easier than rabbits. Dogs were so easy to mind read and mind chat with that Evie found it bizarre that more people couldn't do it. In fact, dogs were too easy to understand. Evie just had to walk past a house that contained a dog, and the thoughts of the creature would enter her mind from the house. But if Evie walked past a dog in the street, and then its thoughts would be especially clear. A fast list of smells normally: salty, sour, new wee, old wee, cat wee. It could be quite exhausting, especially if Evie was trying to have a conversation with someone and dog's thoughts were constantly entering her mind. This particularly scruffy dog was hobbling. Its front right paw didn't touch the ground as the dog walked. "Hey, dog," Evie said out loud. "I can help you. Let's look at that paw. Please, I won't hurt you. Give me your paw." Then she said the same thing but silently, pressing the thought into the dog's mind. The dog did as Evie said. She raised her paw. Evie had a look and saw that there was something sticking out of it, a little black triangle of a thorn. "I'm hurt," said the dog. "I know," thought Evie, staring at the dog. "What I'm about to do might hurt a little, but then you'll feel better afterwards." And the dog's eyes seemed to sparkle at being understood. The dog stayed very still, and it didn't even flinch as Evie pulled the thorn out. She let go of the dog's scruffy paw and it lowered it to the ground. "Thank you," said the dog. "I will be able to run again, and running is my favourite thing to do." Evie remembered that Beak had said the same thing about flying, and Kalo had said the same thing about hopping. Maybe all animals had their own kind of favourite thing to do, their own freedom. Evie wondered what it would be for humans. She looked at the shaggy dog and asked, "Have you got an owner, a home, a name?" "Scruff," said the dog. "That's what the woman says, the woman who feeds me the meat the humans don't want at the place where they all come to eat." "You mean a restaurant?" "I don't know, but that's what she calls me. I like it. Scruff. She calls me Scruff." "Well, cool. I'm Evie." She said it aloud, as well as thinking it, which made her feel a bit mad. A ginger tabby cat was prowling along the street and it hissed at Scruff. "Come on, Marmalade," Scruff told the cat. "We've been through this. I'm not going to hurt you." "I know that," said Marmalade. "I just don't like you. You trouble me. All dogs trouble me." "That's prejudice," said Scruff. "Plain and simple, you're prejudiced." The cat slipped under the parked car to watch Scruff from the distance. Evie asked a thought question. Why do dogs and cats hate each other if they understand each other? Scruff sighed. Understand each other? Cats and dogs. We do and we don't. A bit like humans and humans. A man walked past carrying shopping from the supermarket. He glanced at Evie, but didn't think anything weird was going on. It was just like an 11-year-old girl silently stroking a dog. Then Evie saw her dad's car heading towards her. "Where do you live, Scruff?" wondered Evie. "Everywhere and nowhere." "You don't have an owner?" "Don't be ridiculous. I've got dignity. I'm a free agent." Scruff sniffed around the ground and did a wee against the bench. "House dogs leave their scent everywhere. It's like they own the place. I have to keep on top of it. Let them know who really runs these streets. It's getting ridiculous." Evie's dad's small, battered old green car pulled up next to the curb. "That's my dad. I'd better go, but I'll see you around, Scruff." Evie stood up. Then the dog sniffed her. "You smell of house dog and rabbit and fear. Evie sighed. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird day. And goodness, you've a lot of goodness in you. You are good, Evie. You smell good. You smell of goodness. Evie, don't let that fade away. It sometimes does, you know, with humans. Evie walked to the car and looked towards Leonora's bedroom. Yeah, it does. Bye, Scruff. Okay, sniff you later. Life is good. Life is good. Evie wished she could feel the same, but right then, that's all life seemed to be. One wish after another. She wished she could remember her mum. She wished she could be best friends again. She wished her dad would talk to her more. She wished she didn't have a knot of worry in her stomach about freeing Kalo. But she was pleased that Scruff was no longer hurting. The dog trotted happily away, enjoying his newly painless paw, and although she might have lost one friend that day, Evie felt she'd made another one. As she got into the car, she was pleased to see her grandma, Granny Flora, sitting in the front seat. It was Wednesday, of course. Granny Flora always came for dinner on a Wednesday. Granny Flora was the best granny in the whole world, but there was one thing even Evie didn't know about her, and she was about to find that out. I wonder what it is. I wonder what Evie's going to find out about Granny Flora. What do you think it is? Put your predictions in the comments box below, and I'll see you next time.